Devdas, Dev D, Arjun Reddy, Kabir Singh, Baby. If you love these movies or hated them, I recommend you to watch this Tamil film called Lover, which just came out in the theatres, which proves that even if you tell the same story a million times, there's still an opportunity to say something different and leave the audience with a different perspective, a new feeling. One thing that makes Lover so different from all the other movies is its extremely relatable core. If you've grown up in a city, I'm pretty sure you've seen this sight while walking around or driving around the city. A young couple next to a bike. The guy is on the bike while the girl is walking away, mostly in tears, pleads him to leave her alone. And sometimes it even turns violent. Even if you can't remember their faces, there are some questions that keep running in your head. What were they fighting about? Are they trying to make up or break up? Is the girl okay? Did she get home safe? What must their families be like? Lover is a story of one among millions of couples around us stuck in this timeless battle between a man and woman's definition of a relationship. It's a must watch for every Indian man because at some point in our life, we've been this guy or some version of this guy. We have all lived inside this shell of beliefs that society has created for us. Lover is a guide on the difference between what we think it takes to be a man and what it really takes to be a man. And the film doesn't tell you this explicitly, it doesn't lecture or preach, it just makes you feel it. Without going too much into every beat of the story, the film dives right into the story of Arun and Divya, into a quick series of flashbacks of how they met and fell in love, almost like this beautiful dream which is suddenly interrupted by this nightmare called real life. As a man, Arun thinks he has an ownership over Divya. Her time, her space, what she does, where she goes, who she talks to. He's a man who is a slave to his inferiority complex, and the only time he gets an opportunity to feel superior is with his girlfriend. He has a certain expectation of what his woman should behave like, and when that expectation isn't met even slightly, he gets angry, throws tantrums, abuses her and her friends, breaks things around him, gets drunk, and then apologizes, only to repeat the same thing over and over again from the next day onwards. And the best part about the film is that at no point does all of this behavior look cool on screen. There's none of that. And when this happens over and over again, the girl becomes the villain in his life and he becomes this tragic hero who drowns himself in alcohol, in self-pity and hatred of the opposite sex and the rest of the world. For every man who's gone down this familiar path, there comes a breaking point. Some of us go over to the dark side of that breaking point from which we can probably never return. And some of us go through an experience that makes us realize that the biggest relationship that we completely fail to acknowledge is the relationship of the self. Maybe it's a person, a family member, a friend, a random incident that suddenly makes us realize that life is primarily a journey of the self, which is then made richer by the relationships in our life. That no one, whether man or woman, solely exists for the purpose of satisfying someone else. The only thing that we truly own in this world is ourselves. Our thoughts, our virtues, our fears, our beliefs, our flaws, and our actions. And the rest of life is about figuring out a good mix of all of these. And then go on the path towards self-contentment and the ability to be loved and love someone else. Lover is a very personal, relatable, intricate journey of that transition in a man's life. And such a character journey of a film needs an actor who doesn't act but lives the character. There are two reasons why Manikandan works so well as the protagonist, and the first is the real life persona. You know, there are some actors who you've never met in your life, but knowing their struggle, you feel like they are that one friend in your group who you're just rooting for to win someday. Just based on the first look, even though Lover seemed like the same old story that we've seen so many times before, the reason I got pulled into the theatre is because of this one man. The journey of Manikandan, an artist who's had a long career, from a radio jockey to a mimicry artist to a dubbing artist to a screenwriter to dialogue writer to playing supporting characters, and then finally playing the lead and breaking out with his terrific performance in Jai Bhim, and then following it up with one of my favorite films of last year, Good Night. And this real life persona plays into the real life persona of Arun, who may not share every characteristic of the real Manikandan, but you can see so much of his journey, his struggle in this character, who's also someone who's capable of so much more. Lover feels like that perfect Venn diagram of an actor's journey intersecting with a character's journey, which makes the movie watching experience so much more intense, and by the end, you're clapping for this man and that character without even realizing it. What makes this experience even richer is the well-rounded supporting characters, each of whom have a purpose, a voice, a personality. There's this meme circulating around that features one of the supporting characters, Divya's friend Aishu, played by Harini, and how the creators of this meme that represents a part of the male audience want to hit her because unlike Arun's completely useless friend who don't do anything to let him move ahead in life, Aishu is an individual who really looks out for her friend Divya. She's protective of her, reasons with her to practically think about her future with Arun, but at the same time she values Divya's emotions, her emotional intelligence, her space, and she just wants what's best for her friend. Another unforgettable character is another friend, Suhail, played by Harish Kumar, who's played pretty much the same character in 3 of his films, but still makes every role, including this one, stand apart. Suhail is one of those really chilled out dudes who you want to get a beer with, but in the middle of all that fun, he casually drops truth bombs and steals the show with the best lines in the movie. His definition of freedom in a relationship is maybe the simplest, deepest line I've heard in any film all this year. And the final reason why this film worked for me is that it fills the void of good modern love stories in Indian cinema, specifically in Tamil cinema. Some of the biggest filmmakers today have said that it's almost impossible to tell a real love story in today's time because there is no conflict. They feel that love stories worked in the 90s and early 2000s mainly because it was difficult to find love, it was difficult to get the approval of your parents and society, and there was plenty of conflict on the way for a couple to get married, which was the end game in most of those movies. But this is what I feel. Conflicts never end. They just evolve. Today with social media and all these dating apps, it's much easier to meet a person and then fall in love. Parents' approval is also easier, and in some cases, it's not the priority for a lot of people. Live-in relationships are no longer a controversial or taboo topic. So it's easier to fall in love, but difficult to stay in love because of all the same reasons. I believe that Prabhuram Vyas, who makes his big screen directorial debut with this film and has made the very successful web series Live-In before this, the way he's designed the world, the main character, his aspirations and his weak moments, the female character and the empathy with which she's been written and designed, it seems like he has such a deep understanding of urban love because every frame, every character interaction, the way they bond in public and private spaces, every dialogue feels so lived in, so genuine, so personal. We really need more such young filmmakers who have the ability to explore all the different conflicts possible in modern day relationships and prove to the rest of the industry and the world that love stories will never die. They just evolve.